Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at, and later we'll be showing you how to install, the etrailer Soft Roll-Up Tonneau cover on our 2019 GMC Sierra 2500. Now, a tonneau cover is a great way to keep the contents of your bed protected, whether it be from prying eyes or just general weather. Any cover is going to be better than none. But a soft cover will lack in security, because if someone did want to get inside to, say, access some tools that you keep in your bed or just anything in here, they can cut through that soft vinyl with a knife pretty easily. But if you're not the type of person to keep things in your bed all the time, you're just looking for general weather protection or just to keep things away from prying eyes whenever you do have stuff loaded up, then a soft cover gets the job done 9 times out of 10. And it's what a lot of people prefer just because it's going to be a little bit more price friendly and it's just simple. This cover is also really easy to operate. When you drop the tailgate, you're going to notice 2 pretty big yellow pull tabs. You can pull one, but I like to just do both because it disengages the latches on either side really easily that way. And then all you got to do is roll this up. So this is a soft roll-up cover. You've got the option from other brands to do a soft folding cover, but I generally don't like those as much because they're gonna typically occupy about a third, maybe a fourth of your bed because they don't fold fully upright. With the rolling soft cover like this, you can roll it all the way to the cab, and on either side, we're gonna have some buckles that we can use to secure that roll and keep it from unrolling. But this gives you more full access to your truck bed. So imagine if you're going to the hardware store, picking up something big like a fridge or a washing machine, and you need the full bed space, and you need to maybe shove something a bit closer to the cab. This soft roll has some compression to it, and you really don't sacrifice much space, if any, in your bed. Whereas with a folding cover that occupies about a third, you're not gonna have much wiggle room there. That space above your bed rails for this front third is going to be basically useless. Now, a couple things we can see with the cover unrolled. We can check out our clamps, which just wrap underneath the bed rails and on top of the tonneau cover rail here. They're operated through a hand knob here, so they're completely tool-free. If you did need to remove this and make more room in your bed, then this wouldn't require any extra tools to do so. And at the end, we've got our adjustment block. So this is going to be the piece that actually hooks and latches into the cover and draws it tight. You'll notice a small marking along with some hash marks here. So if we loosen up some set screws and move that block, it can tighten the cover up, which is good because as vinyl ages, it's sitting out in the elements, stretching is inevitable. And keeping a good tight fit on the cover will keep water from pooling up on top of it. The other thing we can notice from the top here is that since this sits on top of our bed rails, it will be blocking our stake pockets. So if you do plan on putting something like a tie-down ring in here, you're probably not going to be able to with the cover installed. And as we unroll it here, we can get a better look at what that slack being drawn out looks like. Right now, you see it's a pretty loose and unimpressive fit, but once we get to the end here where we can feed those latches in, we throw the cover down, watch all the wrinkles just kind of disappear. We get a nice flat cover. And that's why I find it important to go back to those blocks as it ages and tighten things up, because this nice taut fit is what's going to prevent rainwater and snow from pooling up and further stretching it, therefore decreasing the lifespan of your cover. Now with it all closed up like this though, I do want to point out just the overall fit and finish. Because it sits on top of the bed rails, it will be sticking up a little bit over an inch from the top of our bed rails, and it doesn't give us the cleanest finished look. Some people really like the idea of a tonneau cover that sits flush with the bed rails, and one that sits within them so you have access to those stake pockets if you need them. If that's the case, you can find those options here at etrailer, but if you're just looking for basic protection, then it doesn't really matter whether or not the cover sits on top of or flush with the bed rails. It's just a personal preference at that point. The one thing I think the etrailer soft cover does really well above any other option though is the ease of install. This is one of the quickest, if not the quickest, tonneau cover to get installed on really any truck, and the Sierra here is no different. So if you want to see what that process looks like, follow along and we'll show you how we got this put together. To begin the installation, you just want to take your side rails and set them on top of the bed rails. These are side specific, so just look to the very end where there's going to be some stickers that say left or right, left for driver's side, right for passenger, and those stickers will be facing the tailgate end. When you set this up top, I like to leave plenty of room by the cab because we're going to need some space there to attach our cover. When you grab the cover, keep it rolled up and look for this weather flap on the front end. This is going to face towards the cab of the truck, so we can use that to find our proper orientation. And I'm just going to set it on top of that bulkhead as best I can. I'm going to not worry too much about that weather strip just yet, but I always find it a little bit helpful to unbuckle the cover here once we get it roughly in place, because then I can move it around a bit more freely, and I can find the ends where we've got these blocks that line up with this inner channel on our side rail. Join those two halves together and push it in as far as it'll go. And on the inside edge here, there's going to be a set screw. You just want to go back with the included Allen key and tighten that up so that it joins the cover and the rail together. And just repeat that on the other side. Then once everything's joined together as one unit, I like to be a little more particular about that weather seal. Do watch the side rails though here, since they aren't secured down yet. But just take this time to lift up and get that weather seal to lay flat over the bulkhead. You don't want it to be folded underneath itself and kind of tucked up, because then it's going to lead to a lot more water intrusion. And once we do have this all laying flat, you might adjust your front to back positioning later in the install, but we just want to get this flat for now, eyeball it as best we can, and make sure everything's as square as we can get it. One tip to make sure everything's looking pretty square is to just find some point of reference on your bed rail, like right here, this flat section where the plastic ends on the side. I lined that up with the edge of the tonneau cover rail on both sides to ensure that they're both the same amount back. From there, we can turn our attention to clamping this in place. Now you'll get 6 of these clamps in total, 3 per side, and they come pretty much all assembled. I just recommend loosening them up a little bit so that they can open a bit wider. And you want to have these placed one as close to the tailgate as possible, one as close to the cab, and one just somewhere in the middle. The only things to watch out for is on the side rail where you have these yellow stickers. There's going to be some reinforcement ribs in the cover, and that's where they're going to sit. So we don't want those ribs to interfere with the clamps. Once you've picked out your spots though, feed the clamp in bottom side first, put the top over this lip on the side rail, and just run that hand knob down. We don't need to fully tighten it yet, just enough to keep it in place. Repeat that process 5 more times, and once they're all loosely in, we can do a test fit of the cover and make sure we like the positioning. But with those clamps in their final home, I'm just going to go ahead and test that fitment one more time and make sure that everything is where I want it to be. The big thing to watch for, like I mentioned before, is really just that tailgate clearance, making sure that the weather seal is engaging properly and that you also have good coverage on the bulkhead. For us, I'm really happy with the fit today. So that'll do it for a look at and installation of the eTrailer Soft Roll-Up Tonneau cover on our 2019 GMC Sierra 2500. My name's Aiden, and thank you for watching.